Ooh. Okay, Keyshawn, how close to you is Draymond to being more trouble than he's worth?
I mean, we could certainly evaluate that at the end of the year.
Yep.
If I'm with the Warriors, I'm gonna take a look at it at the end of the year because we're not winning championships right now, right? We just not. And so when you look at what Steph is saying there, you want to give your team the best chance to win. And if he's not on the floor, you're not giving your team the best chance to win. It's about trying to get him at times to understand how to control his emotions because he's a target. He has a big target on his back. If he sneezes in the direction of a referee, they're gonna throw him out. It's just, but he brought a lot of that up on himself.
He did.
That's just the reality of it. And you have to know that when you play with him, play against him, as his teammate, as his coach, they know this is problematic. Now, when we get out of the season, if we're not bringing Clay back and we're moving on from whoever else, we might take a hard look at moving on from Draymond because it's at the end of the line right now for him anyway.
Yep.
He's still a good basketball player, but we most likely, as an organization, going in another direction at the end of the season, we're going to hit the reset button anyway. Because right now, we're sitting at 10. Could be 11 and be at home in a couple weeks and not even be in the play-in. So it's one of those deals you got to address at the end of the season. And, you know, he is what he is. I don't want the edge taken away from him, but what I want him to do is dial it back and understand you are literally hurting us.
Yeah.
If Steph Curry doesn't go bananas, so to speak, they lose. If that's against the Nuggets, they lose. If that's against Boston, they lose. I mean, you know, teams that are much better than the Magic.
Yeah. They were very fortunate they were playing the Magic last
Exactly.
night.
That's why
they were
saying.
as fortunate the night before that Jimmy Butler did not play for the Miami Heat in Miami. And to Golden State's credit, to Steph's credit, they won both of those games as Houston is breathing and breathing and breathing right down their necks.
Yeah.
So I'll be the first to admit, I get tired of talking about Draymond because this just keeps happening again and again and again. And I'm going to give you this up front. I'm going to preface everything I'm about to say with the fact you know him. And everybody I know who knows him really, really likes him because I think away from basketball, he's a great guy. He's fun to be around. He's a barrel of laughs. He has a big personality. Is that all true with the times you've been to dinner with him? Is he fun to be with?
He's a normal guy.
He's just a normal guy, a fun guy, smart guy, clever guy, a witty guy. He's got a TV future already in his back pocket because he's already under contract to work for TNT. He is a celebrity podcaster. He's a big deal to the NBA. He's a drawing card for the NBA because I think people do tune in to watch Draymond for better or for worse. He's part of that show. Obviously, it's Steph's show in the end, but he's a big part of that show. And the commissioner bent over backward, tried to do everything in his power to get Draymond right for the sake of the league as a drawing card to get him back in business. And he was gone for, what was it, 16 games. So he's gone for about a month. This is December 14th to January 15th.
Well, that's because he put his hands on somebody. That's a totally different
He put lots of hands on lots of people.
Yeah.
He choked and pulled Rudy Gobert, and then he did some spinning MMA kick on Nurkic in the corner. I don't even know what that was. But the point is, Draymond has had a long, long history of cheap shots in this league.
Yeah.
You can make a case that he is the dirtiest player who ever played in the NBA, but he's a lovable, likable villain. He's a beloved villain off the floor, so it sort of mitigates his circumstances. It sort of eases the blows when you try to evaluate, well, who exactly is Draymond? Because everybody wants to like Draymond. He's not the classic villain where everybody despises Draymond because I don't think anybody really despises him. I don't even get the sense that players on other teams despise him after I can show you like reams of tape of cheap shot after cheap shot where you say, where did that come from? Literal low blows on LeBron, obviously, in the NBA Finals. We can go on and on. Literal low blows on Steven Adams, kicks in the groin. We could go on and on and on. But Supposedly, he underwent some sort of anger management training. Usually when it's only a month, it's not going to really stick or take hold. So, as you say, you don't want him to lose his edge. Steve Kerr has been upfront and out front about that. Steph has talked about it. We still want Draymond to be Draymond. Well, that's a slippery slope you're on because the edge is still uncontrolled. It's not calculated edge. It's not in control edge. It just goes over the edge, right? The edge goes over the edge. Did it not again last night?
It did. I mean, I don't know. Referees, trying to explain something to a referee, first of all, he touched the ref to try to get his attention.
You just
probably
can't.
shouldn't have done that.
He touched him nicely. He just
was like, look. Yeah. But then I don't know the words that's coming out of his mouth because I can't read lips and I can't hear what he's saying. It just, usually there's some curse words that come with that, and that becomes a disrespect to the referee. So at that point, they're going to toss you. But having a conversation to explain to the referee what your issue is, I don't have any problems with that. It's if you start cursing at him and touching him, now you put yourself in a position to be thrown out of game. Now you put yourself in a position to be thrown out.
All right. So he had been called for his first personal foul a little before. Remember, we're only 3 minutes and change in. Yeah. And now he's upset with the call on Steph. Now, this is at Orlando, a team you should be able to beat at full strength. You don't have Kuminga, but with Draymond and Clay and Steph, you should be able to beat them.
Yes.
And now he's upset about a call on Steph, and he goes at Ray Acosta and gets a tech. Well, this is at the point where you just say, okay, that's enough, and somebody has to. Steph tried to play peacemaker a little bit and get in between them a little bit, but he would not back off. And Keyshawn, at a point, I started to wonder, do you want to get thrown out? Are you trying to, inspire your team by getting thrown out? Because you want to talk about double-edged sword, it's going to be hard to win without you. Yeah. And that's why Steph said, you just heard him talk, he said, I am extremely proud of every player who stepped on the floor for us tonight because, Keyshawn, that was a gutsy win for them. Yeah. I don't care what you say. And by the way, in the fourth quarter, Andrew Wiggins, I don't know if you've noticed this, but he scored 13 in the fourth on 5 of 8 shots and made 2 threes. So that was huge. Steph only had 5 in the fourth, but hit the one big, it was kind of the dagger shot. So they actually won at Miami, and they actually won at Orlando against some odds, because I'm going to remind everybody, there was a play, and I didn't take it too seriously. In fact, I didn't even bring it up yesterday in the show. We didn't even put it in the rundown.
With the headlock?
Yeah. No, there's a little throwdown, pull down on Patty Mills, my old friend Patty Mills.
I mean, he kind of got tangled up with him, it looked like to me.
I thought they were both a little bit at fault. And I also thought Patty flopped just a touch.
He kind of got tangled up with him.
Yeah, I don't know.
He got kind of tangled up with him.
He got a little tangled up. But maybe I'm so numb to Draymond. Maybe I think, oh, well, that's just sort of typical Draymond, right?
But you're thinking like the referee now.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they see.
Okay, but maybe they gave him a break on that because they went and looked at it and they just called it a common foul.
Yeah, because it looked like he was trying to get around him with his arm. You know, he got big arms compared to Patty Mills, and he's trying to get around him, and at the same time, he's, now if he'd have clutched on him, now you're talking about something different.
Like Gobert and dragged.
Exactly. Now you're talking about something different. But I don't, look, first of all, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not any of those things.
Maybe you should be.
But what I would say, from my observation now and in the past about Draymond on the court, altercations happen, and it's almost like he can't stop.
Can't stop.
Like he doesn't like to be told what to do. He just can't stop. We all get into arguments with people, whether you're at home or wherever, and you got to know when to just, you know what, man, you won. Never. I don't have time to argue.
Or maybe not you won, but that's enough.
But that's enough. I don't.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah, I don't have time to be arguing with you. And he needs to figure out how to do that. How to just say, you know what, I said what I needed to say, and I'm gonna walk away so that I don't get tossed. But he can't seem to do that though. He just can't.
He can't. Which means Golden State, as usual, is damned if they do and damned if they don't. Because listen, you can make a strong case they would not have won those championships without Draymond, because They were a finesse team, a quote-unquote soft team.
But we all understand. We all understand, Skip, what he brings to the table.
He brings.
4 years ago, they won a championship, right? Was it 3 or 4 years ago?
Which one?
The last
Boston
one.
Championship. It was
three seasons ago.
Well, it's just 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, two seasons ago. Yeah. They won a championship.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody really saw them winning a championship. Then they got rolling, and it's over with. Is that gonna happen again in 2025? In 2026? Probably not.
Probably not.
So at some point, as a front office executive and a head coach and the people that make the decisions, they've got to sit back there and say, you know what? Let's cut bait now and rebuild this thing. I understand that he was part of the foundation of what we've been able to accomplish here, but that's okay. You can move on from those guys. Legendary players, people move on from them all the time.
They do.
Especially when you get into these situations where the body of work that you're displaying out on the court or the field isn't worth it anymore.
No.
It's a lot.
That is the point.
It's a lot of caring and holding hands, so to speak.
All right. So a year ago, it started off with, unfortunately, we all got to see it, Draymond punching Jordan Poole.
Oh.
And I still don't know who leaked the tape of that, the videotape, but somebody inside let that go.
Somebody inside, the videographer did it.
I guess so.
Somebody
I
in
never
that
heard
space.
who it was. Somebody did.
In that space.
And somebody wanted Draymond's reputation stained, and it stained his reputation because we actually got to see the video of the punch thrown during a practice. And it was pretty ugly. I don't know what Jordan Poole said to precipitate that, but I'm sure that was pretty ugly also. But
yeah,
okay. But the point was,
punched him.
Somebody had to go, and Jordan Poole ended up going.
Well, he didn't play well that year either.
And he didn't play well. But the point was, what was the culmination of last year? Well, your Los Angeles Lakers got to play them in the second round, and I say got to play them is the operative word.
4-1?
They won 2, but it didn't even feel like it.
4-2.
And you know what? Draymond wasn't very good. None of them were very good. The Lakers won that handily. Yeah. I thought they won it decisively. It just felt like they were clearly the better team.
Absolutely.
So now it's, what have you done for me lately? Well, not much. So now they have struggled to the point this year. They're a sub-500 team at home. They're actually a better road team than they are a home team. They are below 500 at home. That team is below 500. That's just wrong. And that is the main reason the Houston Rockets are right on top of them. And the Rockets won again last night. That's 12 of 13 they've won. They've won 10 straight. Jalen Green, we're going to talk about him in a few minutes, is emerging as a potential superstar in this league. The Rockets are everything right now that the Warriors are not. The Rockets are going straight north, and the Warriors are sort of teetering along and starting to drift south a little bit.
Look, if they make it to the play-in and they make it to the playoffs, how far do you honestly think that the Warriors will go?
Nowhere.
And they may not get out of the first round, or they may get out of the first round. But at the end of the year, I could almost promise you without knowing, they're going to evaluate the Draymond Green situation.
Yeah.
They just are. You have to.
Well, you just have to, because his numbers are in decline, and he's never been much of a shooter. So what does he do? He's kind of their enforcer. Yeah, you and I both know it's not like he's an old school tough guy. It's not like he's a fighter. It's not like other teams are afraid that he's going to deck somebody, because that's not who he is.
No, he's just aggressive
He's just aggressive
on the court.
And he knows all the little tactics, sort of the gray area tactics. And he does give them a physicality at about 6'7". He's an undersized. Sometimes he plays the 5 for them, because Looney, I still don't know what's wrong with Looney. He's in the doghouse. So they don't have much rim protection without him, so they need him badly. Kuminga has emerged to some degree, but last night they needed Draymond, which is why Steph went over and kicked the chairs. Well, Keyshawn, how many times do you think ownership or management has gone to Steph Curry and say, it's your call? Do you want him gone or not? How many times has Steph said, I don't want him gone?
I would think that they have communicated that to some point about what it is that they want to do with Draymond, with Steph. You should.
Yeah. And I'm sure at every juncture, at every cross in the road, Steph has said, no, he's our guy.
Yeah.
We've won with him, and we can win with him again.
But they got to take this at some point, though. They're going to have to take it out of Steph's hands.
They are.
They got to take it out of his hands and make a decision based on the best thing for the franchise.
Got it. And I thought it was significant. Draymond was waiting for Steph up in the tunnel after the game, and they hugged it out.
Yeah.
But Draymond did not speak to the media after the game. He went home and tweeted about what a big win it was. But the point is, this thing, especially, Keyshawn, there's a real shot they're not going to make the playoffs. There's a real shot.
Or the play-in.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Make the play-in to even have a shot to get to the playoffs.
They're tied right now, right? With Houston?
No.
They're still a half game up?
I think they're a game. Are they a game up?
Either a game or a half game up.
I think they're one game up right now because they've won 2 in a row.
And they still have to play Houston, too.
They have to play Houston.
So they won up,
Yeah, so it's a game up, and I just don't like their chances. And it just feels like he's on the edge again of going over the edge and out of control, and I just don't
I don't think, Skip, the physicality part of it, putting his hands on players and doing some of the shenanigans, I think that's over with. I think that part of it is probably over with, unless somebody gets into an altercation with him. I honestly believe that. But as far as this, I don't know, screaming at the refs or players or whatever, he's going to still do that. But I think the I don't know, stepping on chests of players and doing some of those things like he did Sabonis, I think that might be over with.
Do you?
I do. I honestly think
that got counseled out of him, you think?
I think so. I think they had a real deep conversation with him to let him know your ass is going to be kicked out of the league.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure the commissioner drove home that point. With that.
Opposed to getting thrown out. You said it was a league. I mean, it was a career high on
it's a career high 4. And
4 techs? I mean, 4
ejections.
Ejections?
Yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
I would have thought he had like
I know, but four in a year is a lot for him. I'm not talking about just technical fouls.
No,
he gets a lot of technicals.
But for some reason, I felt like he had 10 or something.
Okay, here's another one for you. This was the second time he was ejected in the first quarter this season, and this is according to ESPN stats and information. He's the only player with multiple first-quarter ejections in a season over the last 20 years. So that's really rare.
Game just started.
Yeah, the game just started, and you're gone, and you're gone. So that's happened twice this year. Okay, that's where at some point Steph's going to sit back and say, you know what, that's enough of that. Because you can't trust him because you can't count on him to even stay eligible to play past the first quarter.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, Skip, but I want him to keep his edge. Just don't put your hands on nobody. I don't want to change him.
Yeah.
Because that's who he is. If you try to change him, first of all, it's too late in his career to try to change him. But you can have him dial back some of the behavioral stuff. But they're going to certainly visit this at the end of the season. I can almost promise you they are.
Well, it's starting to feel like the end of the season is going to come sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay, up next, now LeBron is talking about cutting his minutes. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.